With Alan again was fabulous.
Oh, they had him on stilts. I didn't know that.
Stilts and his crazy suit.
Bro, you see what I mean? If you don't watch these behind the scenes, you don't know half the crap that's happening. I didn't know
Alan again.
He's on stilts. Dude, you know how hard that's got to be to walk around the stilts all the time like that? Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of reacting to the Andor series behind the scenes. So in this video, the part 2, we're going to be doing episodes 7 all the way to the season finale. So should be pretty good. The first behind the scenes was actually a lot of fun to watch. It's always fun to see how these shows are made, and the most impressive part about Andor is I think the fact that they use all these practical sets. I always love practical sets, practical effects. I don't mind green screen and stuff like that. I don't mind when they use green, blue screen, whatever. When they use that dome that they had in The Mandalorian for all the vistas and stuff like that. But I think it's so important to use practical effects because the actors can get more involved and really get more of a feel for the scene. So unlike the other video, we're going to jump right into this one. My thoughts, my review are in the first part. So if you want to find out what I thought about it, you can go check it out there. Generally, pretty good review. So let's just jump right into the second part here.
Because we know where we're going to end with this coalition of revolutionaries in Rogue One, there's one or two canonical moments. The massacre at Gorman and Mon Mothma's leaving the Senate, making her speech. You know, those are on the calendar. Those are things we have to deal with.
All those connections with all the stories we've heard before. This is the season.
Making her speech. You know, those are on the calendar. Those are things we have to deal with.
That scene right there, it just felt very Star Wars-y when I was watching it. You know, with Andor and his ship and stuff like that. It just had that Star Wars pop. And I think season 1, either season 1 was missing it, or I just adjust to the fact that that's just how the show felt thematically.
All those connections with all the stories we've heard before. This is the season that delivers that.
See what I mean? Like, those sets are so freaking cool, man. They're so sick. Even like the blaster looks super. It just looks. It looks well done. And Star Wars should hold itself to this kind of standard all the time, across all shows. The Obi-Wan show, the Acolyte, whatever. Every show, the Mando, all these shows should be holding themselves to the same standard of film and care here. And I think a lot of those shows, they missed the mark sometimes.
In these 3 episodes, you really feel the genuine weight of rebellion.
Sorry to keep you waiting. The Emperor has taken a great interest in the situation.
There were mass curfew violations last night and rumors of a general strike this morning.
We are moving forward with the original plan.
In the main plaza, there's so many stories happening at the same time.
So just like a slight thing I noticed there, maybe like a small criticism of the show. Season 1 is a build-up to the rebellion on Ferrix, and season 2 is kind of a build-up to rebellion on Gorman. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. I didn't think we needed all those episodes to kind of get to a similar point that we were at in season 1. I understand the concept that rebellions are rising up everywhere. I also think, you know, Gorman was a kind of like a MacGuffin to have other things revolve around it for the main characters.
It's not just like suddenly there's chaos. It's slowly cooking. There is a plan, always.
We are the goal! The galaxy is watching!
Jan Miles was our editor on that.
I also just didn't care for the French connection, really. I thought it was a little... I don't know. Like, they're wearing berets and stuff. I think it's a little too... I thought it was a little too Earth-like. And, I mean, the French are good at, you know, rebelling within their own country, maybe not so much winning wars. It's a joke. It's a joke.
That episode, and that was a very complicated thing. There's a lot of moving pieces. Things like this, you know, you're putting them together as quickly as they're being shot.
Yeah, you see what I mean? Like, that's another thing, too. It's just, there's not one alien here. Look. Human. Like, it's... So, again... minor complaint, maybe that's just the theme of it.
You're sort of tacking these together and seeing what you need It's components, and you're putting those components together, building and building and building, and finally, they just take shape.
We thought of the massacre as its own sound, musical sound. This idea of these bending, distorted basses and cellos. Tony coined the term doom bends. We want to create this simmering, this long, slow burn. And so we started with just one of these doom bends. Then there'd be space and maybe a hit, and then there'd be another one.
In Gorman, we used the camera droids. We'd seen these before, never as a practical effect. We'd seen them as a digital effect in the prequels.
I will take what Jedi we have left and go to Geonosis and help Obi-Wan.
So it's really great to bring those to life.
Reinstated for the entire city.
Oh, that's
Local
cool.
leaders are
Actually didn't make that connection during the show. I like that. I like those subtle little things. Very cool.
A peaceful demonstration. Local insurgents spread rumors through the night and have organized this highly volatile insurrection you see behind me now.
I'm kind of sure how Cyril didn't see the big picture here, right? It almost makes it seem like Cyril was so blinded by... I guess he's so blinded by loyalty. He didn't see the, the plans were like quite literally right in front of him. And Cyril strikes me as someone who is of a high competency, right? But sometimes people of high competency, they're still blinded by their own, tenacity for what they believe in. So I guess that was the case with Cyril.
How Cyril goes down, that was really fun to build and really fun to write and very difficult to watch because it's really freaking wild and painful.
What have you done? Everything he ever thought he believed in, trusted in, is shaken to its core. How he moves on from there is really the truest expression of Cyril. Everything that he has just experienced with Dedra and Rylance and the whole season 2 is just coming out in this God, this guy, I can't believe, at this moment, you're finally showing up.
The moment of Cyril and Cassian meeting, we've been waiting for that moment to happen, and it has to be worth it. We worked on that choreography for quite a long time.
And if it gives a little bit more on this impact in your body, it just gives a little bit more.
That moment, it means so much to him.
When you grab me...
With the stunt directors, it's it's kind of like a side note. I don't know if he'd be suited for this, but I'd love to see them bring Nick Gillard back into the fold. I think he did such a tremendous job with the prequels. And, I like when they honor the original guys like that. And I think they could honor Nick by, bringing him back into the fold.
Just put me there.
Put you there.
And you have Cassian surviving and going like, wow, get away from me. Who are you? That kind of thing. And Cyril just keeps coming back.
One of the great things I actually have always loved about him is he follows through where no one else will. And he just follows through to the end.
And seeing these people, that's the only thing they can do is sing their national anthem. It's the emotional lever. In the middle of that riot, Tony and Nick Patel wrote that.
Lazine, Terry Goddard's character, starts singing in the main square. And he starts singing, and then someone else starts singing. You feel more a sense of community in that way when you feel it build than having it happen all at once. The building of that music and those voices in a crowd and making the physics of it right. The line producer, David Mayante, and the ADs and everybody, and then mixing it as well, really built it out so that it's like a little kindling. It's like a little flame that starts there, and it goes through the whole crowd, and people in the back of the crowd aren't even aware of what's happening in the beginning, and then they're all joining in.
Visual effects team is there every day with us, shooting, spending the time, reacting to the little stuff.
Thank you. We're doing 6 KX units that are brought to Gorman by the Imperials.
So, I guess before we go forward, there's a really striking line where Cassian looks at Cyril and he goes, "Who are you?" And I think people thought of it as like a diss, right? But I think it's deeper than that. It's a deeper. It's not who are you, like, you know, who the hell are you, bro? Like, where did you come from? It's literally a question of who are you inside? What kind of person are you trying to be? What goal are you trying to achieve? And that's the question. The question for Cassian is like, yo, who the fuck are you? Like, who the hell are you? That's the question of Cassian. Who the hell are you? But for Cyril, he looks at himself. He looks at what he's done. He looks at the work he's produced. He looks at where he started. He looks at where he is in the present tense at the time. He's just like, who am I really? And he dies, right? And, you know, sometimes life is harsh. Sometimes you don't get a second chance at defining who you are. That's why you have to make the best of it the first time around, right? And I don't know if that was necessarily the message for that piece right there, but for Cyril, that who are you isn't supposed to be a diss. It's really a moment for Cyril to reflect and ask himself, like, who am I?
The first big introduction to the KX is coming out. As an all-in-one shot, we had her thrown through the air from the start position, hit the floor, and slide without ever cutting away.
And there is something that needs to happen, right? Cassian needs to find his friend. And the way it happens is quite special.
People have had to be very patient, but the promise always was, well, when we bring it, we're gonna bring it.
Have you seen the numbers? The Gorman dead? It's beyond belief. We need to speak out. We need to stand up and speak the truth.
So we're currently in Spain. This is called the CAC. It's like a cultural arts and sciences center designed by Calatrava. Calatrava's architecture offers something that we can not only build on in terms of our stage sets, but also kind of embrace.
That's gotta be so drawing as like a fan of Star Wars if you like live by this place and you see the architecture. I wonder if that like takes it. I wonder if that like takes it out for people who like live around there.
As an upper Coruscant look. Well, this stretch that I'm in now is at one end of what we're calling a Senate Plaza, with the Senate building at one end and the Senate offices at the other. And so it really helps us kind of stitch together the geography of the exterior Senate.
We are in crisis. The distance between what is said, shut it down, and what is known to be true has become an abyss.
With that speech, we get to the mom that I'm deeply interested in, which is the emergence of a leader.
The death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil.
And it's intercut with Cassian trying to find her, and there's other stuff going on.
You need the sequence key.
So let's have it.
We took it up to the security office yesterday.
Because it's Andor, there's many levels to one scene. Tony said to me, would you like me to write the whole speech? And I said, yes, please. I would love you to write the whole speech. And I will just learn the whole speech. And then you can cut and use whatever you want. But I want to give that speech. And he did. To stand and give the whole speech, that is something that I will remember forever. It meant something to me for all these years, having the wonderful opportunity to play her.
The monster who will come for us all soon enough is Emperor Palpatine.
Senator.
See, like, unlike Cassian's mom's speech in the first season, I thought Mon's was far better, far more riveting. I didn't really care for the old lady's rally cry. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. But, you know, it was all cringy.
It was really nice. I've been working with Genevieve in this show for so long without having the opportunity to actually interact. And as an actor, it's amazing to reconnect these two characters.
At the beginning of Rogue One, where Mon Mothma introduces Cassian.
She's such a
Puget,
good frickin'
She just
Mon
says,
Mothma.
this is Captain Cassian Andor from Rebel Intelligence. I just go, wow. Imagine now doing that. What it would be. I love the sinew that we've created that will reach out over the past to link up.
Stand down, everyone!
I'm not sure I can do this.
Welcome to the rebellion.
Background action, action.
Glorious!
What are you doing?
And with Cassian's journey, now it's the move to being a leader, even moving beyond a leader then to becoming a hero.
You. All that you've been gathering. The strength of spirit. Surely you must feel it.
And then Bix and her sacrifice.
We have to win. We have to beat them.
And cut. Very good. Almost good, thank you. Lovely.
She knows that if she stays, we're gonna be in this loop of destruction forever.
I'm choosing the rebellion.
See, she says that, but she didn't choose the rebellion. She chose her kid and her family life and the peace of her child over Cassian and the rebellion. Like, she didn't, people are like, oh, she chose the rebellion. She didn't choose the rebellion. She chose to have the kid in peace, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's actually a lot of bravery in saying, hey, enough is enough for me. I'm out. Like, I'm good. I know it's good for me. She didn't stay for the rebellion. I think that's such a weird, even if the writers and directors said that, I think that's such a strange way of looking at it.
He has to understand that in any revolution, it's about succeeding, you know? It's not about you anymore. You have to be willing to bring that sacrifice.
They're getting ready to...
Yeah, and I think Bix wasn't really willing to sacrifice for, you know, having a kid in this tumultuous situation. So she chose the betterment of her child and a potential family life over, you know, being an insurgent rebellion.
Power up the droid you brought in! The KX unit?
When we leave Block 3, when you're laying it out and you're looking, it actually can line up. When Bix leaves him, K2 can be arriving. And so it's really going to mean something.
97 Echo, take 3. Aim beam up.
3, 2, 1.
K2SO. I love being that character again.
Working with Alan was fabulous. It's going to be quite a thing for those who love Rogue One.
All right, let's hop right into the next one. Jump right into it.
Means that you can just swing away inside.
Oh, bro, the guy who did the freaking acting for Bail Organa. Look, bro, I doubt he's watching this video. If you are, I'm sorry I feel this way, but, or, you know, probably down to the directors too, but it was so bad. Like, he comes off as such a arrogant prick. Like, he comes off as a real, like, know-it-all douchebag politician in those scenes after Luthen dies. You know, it's so not what Bail is, and I just don't know how that made it to the screen.
The Force be with you, Captain.
One of my favorite parts of Season 2 was working out how to develop the look on Yavin. It was wonderful to think about how all of these rebel fighters came.
It's not hard to do, just look at the originals.
Came from all over the galaxy.
And the comics. And basically all the source material that Star Wars has.
Galaxy, from all of their different cultures, and started becoming unified. And so we kind of deconstructed that. You go from this wonderful diversity of look of fighters, and a year later, coming together, working together, becoming more of a unified fighting force.
We are currently in Stage 1 at Long Cross, which has housed for many weeks now our Yavin hangar.
The scale of it, it's one of the biggest sets I've ever been on. You have to stand there with your mouth open agape. It feels like I am
telling you, man, the sets make all the difference.
That 7-year-old kid who stood up from my velvet-covered cinema seat, walked down the aisle and climbed into the screen.
It's a personal trip.
The ship's to be fitted with hypercoms tomorrow. We fit hypercoms tomorrow.
We won't be long. We won't take long. I have to say. We won't take long.
What I realized, you can walk into this set and it felt like a museum very quickly. And it needed to not have that sterility, so we're not sort of walking into a piece of concept art. So we tried to make our sets as interactive as possible, not just for our key cast, but also for our background. People can actually be mending or fixing or working on or transporting. We had to build X-Wings. Everyone else was very excited about it, particularly the X-Wings anyway.
It was bigger than I remembered. I loved walking in there and seeing this huge cement space place. It felt really lovely to step back into that, because that's an iconic space for her.
What is this? We think you might be able to help us.
We actively avoided the round table and saved that for Rogue One, but we did recreate the sort of meeting room that has the hologram of Saw Gerrera in the middle.
We know you're on Jeddah, Saw. We know you're picking up Imperial transports.
It was really cool where Cassian and Biggs live. It's quite nice to understand that even though they were there when things were getting built, they had an opportunity to be a family.
It's supposed to be like almost like an antidote to Coruscant as well. Like they'd been in that safe house apartment, that sort of hermetic cube with a concrete jungle outside, but they're still.
I feel bad for Cassian, but he kind of takes the road of Luthen. He fights for a sunrise he'll never see, and he fights for a family he'll never have.
At war as well. They're still refugees, essentially, camping. So it was a really hard one to find a balance. So the idea that they found a shell and they repurposed the shell by sort of a dome shape, then try and take some essence of Canary from his youth into the bedroom structure, the sort of TP. Elements from Mina Rao, like the hammock, and from when he was in Aldani and stuff like that. So there's some logic to how Cassian helped build the elements and bring them together. Sort of has a glow and a warmth to it, a homeliness when Bix is there, certainly, that goes away when Bix leaves in a way.
You don't have any tens left, do you?
It would be sad if the two of you were conspiring again.
Hey!
We come back a year later, it's like a frat house, kind of a mess, and they're playing cards, and they're drinking too much, and Melshi lives there, and K2 lives there. People have had to be very patient, and Alan's had to be very patient.
Playing cards with them.
But I knew from Rogue how powerful K2 is, but also how hard it is to tell stories when he's involved. It's a very difficult piece of gear to carry around.
There's a base-wide restriction on unauthorized radio transmission. I can pull up the exact language if you're curious. K2, he's kind of a clown in a lot of ways. He's like a child. No one is curious. I always saw him as an honest child who is new to the world and just says things he feels. But disobeying orders is so refreshing. He doesn't mean anything bad by it. He just, that's what he thinks. When I was asked to come back, I was like, yeah, I'd love to fly another spaceship or two. I didn't crash on one of them, which is rare for me.
There's the humor.
Working with Alan, again, was fabulous.
Oh, they had him on stilts. I didn't know that.
Stilts and his crazy suit.
Bro, you see what I mean? If you don't watch these behind the scenes, you don't know half the crap that's happening. I didn't know
Alan, again.
He's on stilts. Dude, you know how hard that's got to be to walk around the stilts all the time like that?
And it was fabulous, and seeing him in his stilts and his crazy suit, it was a lot of fun.
You're welcome.
The Luthen episode was a real special thing for all of us, and it was special to build it. And Stellan and I had conversations in the very, very beginning, and I promised him that we would do this.
Dude, they didn't flesh him out enough, man. I felt like it was just him. He was a sad soldier. He met a kid, and that was kind of it, you know. I feel like there's a lot more depth to where his personality comes from.
Tony had a vague idea about flashbacks, and it was something about I had a family that was killed or something, like a normal revenge story. Then he came up with that actually it's the girl's revenge.
I know what I want.
That he would not have become that revolutionary without Clea. She's the one that is fierce.
It is not a father-daughter
relationship. That was a very cool scene.
Because for it to become that, it would mean that Clea forgives him for having done that to her family. There are parts of Clea that really hate this man. That day is not going anywhere. It will always be between them. But love does grow around it. It's a very conflicting place for Clea to exist in.
This scene was very good. I wish it was longer.
I said inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. And also at the same time, Dedra is getting closer and closer. I share my dreams with ghosts. Denise Goff, we couldn't wait to get together for the final confrontation. I'm damned for what I do. Unfortunately, it ended bad for me.
And she's so pleased with herself, you know? She's so pleased.
She finally did it.
Wins.
What is my sacrifice?
There's nothing else but the revolution for him. Everything he says to Young at that elevator is true.
I burned my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. The emotions there was, okay, this is it. I'll never see Clay again, but it has to be done. You are not gonna win. So what do I sacrifice?
Everything.
Everything!
So good. Top. That's top Star Wars.
All you know.
Dude, I'm telling you, this season 2 is like really good. It really it completes the show.
Now is how much you hate. You bank that, you hide that. You keep it alive until you know what to do with it.
I think what helps Claire do what she has to do in that moment is all the hate that she feels for him and all that love, those two extremes. It's so confusing, so conflicting, and she doesn't want to leave him there. But she has to tell herself she's got to run because she's got to get that message back to Yavin. She can't get caught. And that's what blows my mind about the fact that Claire is the person that gets the information about the Death Star to Yavin.
And this is Luther. As far as you know. They're just playing cards and getting drunk in a day that apparently is not going to bring anything. And suddenly, yeah, the most important mission happens.
It's all been part of one big lie. It's all about this weapon.
And bringing her and having that piece of information.
I think like the best part of Andor and the worst part of Andor, it's the same thing. It all comes down. I'm sorry I'm moving so much, guys. I can't get comfortable for this video. Anyway, it comes down to the same thing, the Death Star. That's what everyone's working towards. That's what these goals are for us. That's what these missions are for us. Rebellion finds out, right? To blow up the Death Star. Otherwise, the Death Star is going to blow up them. And the worst part about that, the worst part about the Death Star in Star Wars is that you have Starkiller Base. They do all this stuff. They invest in this show that costs $700 million. They write all these books. The movie is years and years and decades old. And it makes the Death Star so sinister. And then it all just ends up with Starkiller Base. It's such a bad look. Starkiller Base is so doofy. It diminishes the Death Star so much. Like, they have to scrap that from canon. They have to scrap. Like, I enjoy The Force Awakens. I enjoy parts of The Last Jedi. But they really got to scrap Starkiller Base for sure.
Is crucial for history to be what it is.
You need to tell these people in Yavin what they're up against.
Death Star, what a prescient and afraid.
I don't know if Dedra knows what role she's playing in the Death Star project. It's only towards the end that she puts it together when she's being interrogated by Krennic.
Who else knows?
About what?
When the doors opened and he walked and his
he puts
cloak
the finger
kind
down
of
on her head.
splayed behind him, I had a shiver. Even I was like, oh my God.
I think that once you have that cape on and you are in the world of, Star Wars, it tells you a lot about what to do.
And then he did this weird thing with his finger on the top of my head. I thought, brilliant.
I think what's unexpected about Deidre's character from Krennic's point of view is just how, in your face she kind of is. I mean, she is a kind of a minor, sort of lower echelon. And Krennic's pretty close to the top.
Yes, I'm a scavenger, but I've had to be.
What makes this woman so fascinating? It's like, what do you do when a minion thinks they are in charge of everything and that they know better than the Emperor?
She's aspiring. She's cunning. She's freaking, she's a scavenger. She's a hustler. And it kind of comes back to bite her in the ass, really.
That's kind of dangerous, no?
We'll do our best to carry on without you.
The 5 women at the end of the show is really what the show's kind of about.
The Gormans, Ferrix.
I guess.
Your mother.
It's the victory, it's the pain, it's the life that these 5 women have had. It really gives the show, I think, its ultimate punch at the end, dramatically.
I mean, it's the end, We aren't going to be coming back to Dedra. She's done.
She's lost her direction in this world.
Put this on.
But Vel does show a kindness to her, and that, I think, brings Claire away from the edge a little bit.
For Val, as we come to a close, I think there's a newfound wisdom for her, and I think something has shifted. I don't know where she would go next. Definitely not home.
It's deeply satisfying. I want so much for Mon Mothma within that space. It's where she should be.
It was wonderfully freeing to know where we were going to end up. This is only a couple hours away from where we're starting the movie. It was sort of relaxed. I mean, all he's doing is walking to a ship, and Mon and Vel are having coffee, and Wilma's having breakfast. Knowing to not try too hard was important.
Ironically, the final episode has some of the least amount, quantity-wise, of music. Its biggest shining moment is that montage. There was a lot of...
Yeah, I thought the ending was, that was underwhelming. I was expecting... They could have done, like, a little Palpatine. Just a little Senate chamber scene. Maybe at his desk, reviewing the Death Star plans. Just like a little something. I think that would have been the icing on the cake. Cherry on the icing on the cake.
A lot of discussion as the plot develops over the season to have the music slowly becoming more orchestral and less electronic, so that when it finally touched Rogue One, it would feel like the palette had shifted to that. So each episode, we kept pushing this transition farther and farther along. And then finally, that musical handoff really happens in that last moment when Cassian's flying away. That's kind of like the big orchestral moment that was rare for like the rest of the score, ironically.
Here we are at the end of an extraordinary journey. It is time for goodbye.
It really is always happy and sad to know you come to an end. You know, this Andor family that we built, the whole team that made it incredibly joyful to get up every morning.
Every single person is working at the top of their game.
Deeply creative, brilliant people, all in one boat, rowing together.
I loved making it. It's interesting, it's complex.
The action, the music, the tension, the story, the plot.
The look, the costume, the hair and makeup do miracles. And then, of course, who doesn't want to have a spaceship of his own?
I will never forget skulking around a galaxy far, far away with Stellan Skarsgård.
Bye-bye. K2, I'm biased. I love seeing him in action.
I'm so grateful to be part of the family, and I will miss it, and I'll miss the people. It's the people I'll miss very, very much.
That's the end, guys.
I don't feel done, and the thing about Star Wars is it's never done. It goes into
really
the Star
isn't.
Wars canon. Like, it's going to be there forever.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, every single one of you. Andor is unlike anything that I ever worked on. And the fact that that's being appreciated by this passionate fan base, in the end, that's the most exciting thing. The fact that people are really getting it, what you do, is the most confirming thing.
Here we go, let's see.
He's like, wait until the end of season 2 for you. Just wait for it. I was so moved and emotional. I think we understand Bix a little bit more. She made a tough decision as a mother. But obviously Bix thinks this is gonna be for the meantime. You know, Cassian is gonna go, save the galaxy, make a difference, and come back home. Hope was kind of brought back, and I really hope that's what it brings to everyone that watches this show.
I think it's a beautiful way to finish our show, you know? And it's the reminder of what he's not gonna have. And remind people that behind this rebellion, there's real people, you know? It's about understanding the complexity, the amount of love, loss, commitment, and passion behind change. People that probably wanted to have a family, and to be happy next to the loved ones, you know? And I think it reminds us how lucky we are if we are capable of having that in our lives.
Yeah, it was a good show. I didn't really think that, I think she chose her family life over the rebellion, and that's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, you know what I mean? So I thought it was a good show. I had a lot of fun watching it. I hope they do more behind the scenes. So you know, I don't really have too much more to add to the behind the scenes. I hope you enjoyed watching it with me. If you did, for more content like this, if you want more behind the scenes, let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. The viewerships, the subscriptions, the shares helps the channel tremendously. So don't forget to keep doing that. Until next time, I'll see you guys around. May the force be with you always.